focus on you for a bit, so I'm just going to shut up and let that sink in for a minute. What is it we do in the Red Pill? We swap notes. Now, I'm sure people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, but I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. Here, we're going to discuss the field reports that happened a few years back. Brand new guys who are trying to learn the strategies that we talk about. Who am I? I used to be one of these brand new guys. I, like you, was pretty good at women and relationships, but I wasn't great at it. Hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there's nowhere for a man to go nowadays that actually wants him to succeed, to thrive, to get better at what he does and improve his lot in life. So, like most guys, I took it upon myself, found a bunch of guys in the same boat as me, and together we built a set of working strategies based on the experience of hundreds of thousands of men, just like us. Men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. I'm 50. Been married 26 years, 4 kids with 2 in the house. I'm 265 pounds. I've got some really bad lifts, 20% body fat. I'm about 193 pounds at 5'10". Our finances, they really need some work. We bought land at the top of the last market that has been an enormous drag to our cash flow for the last decade. Blue Pill me put it all in my wife's name when we purchased it. She loves it. Yesterday, it came to a head, and I pushed again to get her to sign the listing contract. She said no. I told her the relationship here is on the line, and I'd go so far as to divorce to be financially stable. Again, she flipped, she cried, she told me the relationship isn't what she thought, etc. I finally shut up. And yes, I agreed with her the relationship isn't what she thought. Today, we communicated totally by text, and she agreed to sign the documents with the addition that I've really hurt her emotionally. Tonight, she's like ice. And I'm also ice too, as I really don't want to be in her frame. The problem here, I know I screwed up with how I went about it last night. Yes, I'm prepared to get out, but she does add value. So, do I just stay like ice? Do I act like things are normal? I'm still on the lower dread levels. She still sees me as an equal or lower on the market value. How do I handle this while keeping my own frame? My problem isn't staying firm on the land sale, that's a no-brainer. It's the Rambo move and using divorce as the motivator. Couple terms before we get started. Rambo. I see you guys are noticing a pattern. This one comes up a lot. While originally the term was meant to describe a guy who does things without the self-awareness to know what the consequences of them are, it's since become almost a rallying cry for the kind of guy who's afraid of acting in his own best interests in worry that things might happen that he isn't prepared to accept. When a guy tells you he's going Rambo, the two things you can almost take for granted are that A, he doesn't know what that means, and B, he's afraid of doing things. He's got a risk aversion and a fear. And that's something that you can't really train out of a guy. It's something you need testosterone for. Like I said, if you can handle lifting, you can handle little risks. StFU. To shut up is a great beginner strategy because if a guy is early on his male action plan, he doesn't know how to sound attractive. And so oftentimes when he opens his mouth, it's full of covert contracts, ultimatums, and all kinds of unattractive behavior. The problem comes then is that every time you open your mouth in response to a fitness test or a comfort test or just plain disrespect, is you continue to sound more unattractive and you're actively working against your goals. So when in doubt, you won't make any progress by being quiet, but you won't set yourself back either. Outcome independence. In this case, he refers to it as getting the F out. None of this really works as a covert contract. You have to treat your own self-interest as sacrosanct, which means no matter what happens, you're going to be fine. And you have a way you want life to continue. And if things don't happen this way, then you're fine with shedding the dead weight out of your life. Sometimes things don't work out, not because somebody is inherently an evil or a bad person, but just because self-interests converge for a time and then part ways. So when we talk about outcome indifference, you have to be okay, because the battles you decide to pick, the things that you decide are within your own self-interest and worthy of action, are the things that you're willing to let people go in your life over. And it learns to give you a certain expectation management aspect to life. You pick your battles. You truly decide if something is worth it or if it's not worth it. But you're never left confused as to where you stand. Advice for this guy. See, there's a few things he's doing that are extremely unattractive behaviors. The first off is that ultimatum. Divorce is always that mutually assured destruction option. It's always on the table, but you can't use it as a cudgel. An ultimatum is an expression of powerlessness. I have nothing here but this one threat point, and you may get what you want, but it's always going to be begrudging, and that's how he's kind of ended in this situation here. And I can understand what his issues are. He put himself in a position where he had to put her in the position to make this main decision. He put the property in her name probably because it saved him a couple bucks in property taxes or something 10 years ago. The problem is now, though, is that it's hurting him financially, and they disagree on the solution. If he was smart about this, he would have kept it in his name if he wanted to be the one making these decisions. But the fact that it wasn't meant that he kind of had to get her buy-in on things. Now, the threat point here is a very unattractive way of dealing with it. If it gets to that point, I would suggest it's most likely already gone and you should probably leave. In his case, he threw a Hail Mary, did an ultimatum, and it worked out, but then he lost throughout all those consequences he wasn't ready for. So when he's doing this, and spilled milk, water under the bridge, whatever you want to call it, things are done. All he can really do now is move forward and move past this stuff, because right now she is looking at him extremely unattractive and her hypergamous instinct has kicked in. It's one of those things that telling a girl no or telling them to get rid of something they like telling a girl what to do, they get this visceral anti-dad reaction to it, and there's nothing you can do about that. But right now, he's trying to build the family a nice fiscal safety net. And if he's truly doing this for the betterment of everybody, well, in time, that'll get sorted out. So right now, he needs to stop expecting her to do much else and just focus on himself. Because if you've looked at those stats that he had, he is basically a dad bod, which means he's unattractive. While he may be the best that she can do, she's not happy about that either. So focus on becoming an attractive, charismatic man. Ignore this situation. Don't continue to do ultimatums and let your body do the talking for you. Because once you can replace a girl with a girl 10 years younger, much more compliant and happier to be around you, you'll find that you don't need to say, I'm going to threaten a divorce. That's the kind of stuff that plebs do. What you do is just say, hey, the family needs this place sold so we can stay afloat. And then she will jump at the chance to work with you. I talk often here about having a ride or die bitch or a girl that's with you through thick and thin. What a lot of guys don't understand is that they have to earn it. And they earn it by being the girl's best option. Now, whether you decide to continue to be her best option, that's on you. A lot of times in situations like this, you find that the girl is just really not worth it, and in which case you let her go and move on with your life. And there's no fault for that. But you can't just be dictating terms because you read a couple books and you hit the gym once or twice. That's just not the way things work. An alternate for this guy, and this one's pretty straightforward. If you're going to have to be making decisions on property, first off, don't be buying in a bull market. When everybody's getting greedy, it's the last time you should be buying property. It's when you should start worrying, to be honest with you. Secondly, if you want to actually make these kind of decisions, keep stuff in your own name. Why you're signing stuff off to other people in order to save a few bucks is just ridiculous. If you want control over something, you have to maintain ownership over it. Thirdly, if this was a kind of a big deal, the way he explains it as, how is the wife not aware of that? If she's not, that's either because you've kept somebody out of the financial loop and they really have no idea how money works, or maybe you're mistaken and your first officer has a good point and there's an alternative solution. Either way, you can play this one as hard or as soft as you want to, but just be aware that you can't keep doing things that set people up for failure and then be surprised when they fail. The one thing that does work in a guy's favor here, and I don't suggest this as a strategy, is the fact that the ultimatum actually worked. Now, 2 scenarios here. One, she's taken the L on this and now she's actively looking into other options, getting ready to divorce on her timeline, or there's something here to save. It's a very risky thing. I really wouldn't suggest playing hardball like this. But on that note, hopefully you've gleaned some value from this, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.